He thought I was broken. A slow revenge confession. I never planned to write this. Not because I'm afraid of what people will think. But because even now, when I remember everything clearly, I feel something tight in my chest, not pain, not sadness. Control. He still thinks he won. The last thing he said to me before walking out was, "Without me, you're nothing. You were just convenient." He didn't shout. He didn't insult me dramatically. He said it calmly, almost kindly, like he was explaining something obvious to a child. 3 years. 3 years of my life reduced to one sentence. I remember standing in the doorway, holding my phone, my hands shaking slightly, while he put on his jacket like nothing important had happened. I didn't cry. That seemed to annoy him more than tears ever would. We met when he had nothing. No job. No money. No plan. But he had confidence. The kind that feels impressive when you're young and insecure. The kind that sounds like ambition, but later turns out to be entitlement. I believed in him. I paid the rent just for now. I covered groceries until things stabilize. I listened to endless speeches about how people didn't recognize his talent. When he failed, it was always someone else's fault. When he succeeded, it was entirely because of him. I told myself this was normal. That relationships are about support. I didn't notice when support turned into sacrifice. The first time I caught him flirting with another girl, he laughed. "Relax," he said. "You're overreacting." The second time, he blamed me. "If you weren't so insecure, I wouldn't need attention elsewhere." I apologized. That should tell you everything about who I was back then. The breakup wasn't dramatic. No screaming. No tears. He had already emotionally left months before. He just waited until he was financially stable enough to not need me anymore. That's when he said it. "You were convenient." As if I were a service. A phase. A temporary solution. He didn't block me. He didn't disappear. He wanted me to watch him move on. 4 weeks after, I did exactly what he expected. I stayed quiet. I didn't post anything. I didn't text him. I didn't fight back. I let him think I was broken. That was the first mistake he made. What he never understood about me is that I don't explode. I go silent. Silence is where I rebuild. While he was posting pictures with his new beginning, I was doing something else entirely. I changed my routine. I stopped explaining myself to anyone. I started saying no without justifying it. And most importantly, I stopped seeing him as someone special. Once you remove admiration, people shrink very fast. 3 months later, he messaged me. Just one sentence. "Hey. Random question. How have you been?" I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I replied. "I'm good. Hope you are too." Nothing else. No emotion. No curiosity. No questions. That message bothered him more than silence ever could. From that moment on, he started watching my stories. My likes. My comments. He never reacted directly. Just hovered. Observed. People like him need mirrors. They need proof they mattered. I gave him none. 6 months after the breakup, we ran into each other by accident. Same city. Same cafe. Different versions of us. He looked surprised. Then confused. "You look different," he said. I smiled politely. "So do you." That wasn't true. He looked exactly the same. He tried to reinsert himself into my life slowly. A compliment here. A joke there. A reminder of shared memories. I let him talk. I let him feel comfortable. That was the second mistake he made. What he didn't know was that I had learned everything about him. Not secrets. Not dirt. Patterns. His need for validation. His fear of being insignificant. His inability to stand being replaced. Revenge doesn't start with anger. It starts with understanding. One night, after too much talking and fake nostalgia, he said, "You know, I think we were good together. Maybe we rushed things." I looked at him. And for the first time, I saw fear behind his confidence. He needed to know he still mattered. I smiled. "Maybe," I said. But I grew. That sentence hit him harder than any insult. From that moment, the balance shifted. He started trying. Trying to impress me. Trying to be interesting. Trying to win back something he believed he had already owned. I let him. Because real revenge isn't loud. It's slow. He still doesn't know what I did next. He still thinks I forgave him. He still thinks I moved on peacefully. He still thinks he won. And that's the best part. People assume revenge looks like destruction. Yelling. Public humiliation. Exposure. That's what movies teach us. But real revenge is quieter. It's when someone slowly realizes they are no longer the main character in your life and it terrifies them. I didn't flirt with him. That would have been too obvious. Instead, I treated him like an acquaintance. Someone mildly interesting. Someone replaceable. He noticed. He always needed intensity. Admiration. Emotional chaos. I gave him none of that. He started texting first. Good morning messages. Random memes. Thought of you notes disguised as jokes. I replied hours later. Sometimes not at all. Not to punish him. But because I genuinely wasn't thinking about him anymore. And that hurt him more than anything I could plan. One evening he asked, "Are you seeing someone?" I didn't answer immediately. I waited. Then I said, "Why do you ask?" That question flipped something inside him. People like him don't like questions. They like control. He laughed it off. Just curious. I nodded. "I am," I said. That was all. No details. No explanation. He went quiet for 3 days after that. When he came back, he was different. More attentive. More careful with his words. He complimented things he never noticed before. My thoughts. My discipline. My independence. It would have sounded sweet to the old me. Now it just sounded late. Here's something important. I didn't plan to hurt him. I planned to outgrow him. The pain was just a side effect. He invited me out as friends. I agreed. Not because I wanted him. But because I wanted closure on my terms. We sat across from each other, and he talked about his life. Same complaints. Same ambitions. Same excuses. I realized something then. He hadn't changed at all. At some point, he said, "You know, losing you really messed me up." I looked at him. Carefully. And replied, "I didn't lose myself when I lost you." That sentence ended the evening. He just didn't know it yet. After that, he started trying to recreate what we had. Old jokes. Old memories. Old emotional hooks. They didn't work. Because nostalgia only hurts when you still live in the past. I didn't. The final moment came unexpectedly. He sent a long message. Paragraphs. Apologies. Regrets. Explanations no one asked for. He admitted he took me for granted. That he thought I'd always be there. That he didn't expect me to become this. I read it slowly. Twice. And I realized something important. This wasn't growth. This was panic. I replied with 3 sentences. I forgive you. I've moved on. Please don't contact me again. No anger. No insults. No victory speech. Just finality. He didn't reply. But he watched. 4 months. Every story. Every post. Silent. Here's the truth people don't talk about. Revenge doesn't feel like triumph. It feels like relief. Like setting down something heavy you didn't realize you were carrying. Sometimes I wonder if he still thinks about me. But then I remember it doesn't matter. The person he broke doesn't exist anymore. And the person I became doesn't need revenge to feel whole. If you're listening to this because someone hurt you, don't try to prove them wrong. Outgrow them. That's the kind of revenge that echoes the longest.